If you tuned into tonight's show thinking that All Elite Wrestling was going to be able to correct the course and avoid slamming into the impending iceberg directly in front of them, and that you would finally see why Tony Khan was in fear for his life, well, don't bother thinking that anymore, because the Young Bucks, you remember the Young Bucks, the most overrated goddamn tag team of the last 15 or so years? You remember Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, you know, the EVPs that really think that they're hot shit. We're going down, down, baby. No street in a raincoat. Do, baby. Let it go. Shimmy, shimmy, Cocoa Puff. Can't hit a knee without falling over these EVPs. Down, down, baby. No street in a raincoat. You remember the Young Bucks. They decided to show all in backstage footage that just further cemented that CM Punk has his fans over here that absolutely love him. That's not going to change at all. And the people that hate him are all the way over here. And if you're like me, and I know I'm like me, because if I wasn't like me, who the fuck else would I be? You want to see both companies succeed. But the Bucks basically just showed they're petulant children. Tony Khan isn't a goddamn boss. And boy, that really put some butts in the seats. Huh. I'm Charleston with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Charleston Coliseum in Charleston, West Virginia. All-time bad episode of AEW programming. This was fucking goddamn rotten. This was embarrassing. And it's not embarrassing because they wanted to take a shot at WWE. I'm all for that. I lived through the goddamn Monday Night Wars. I've been watching wrestling since 1985, as our Lord and Savior's Bowling for Soup once said. And sure, there have been ups and downs in every single company. I have killed WWE for so many things. I still kill WWE for a lot of things. And I praise them when they do good shit. I praise AEW when they've done really, really great shit. And they have. I went to every single show that AEW has had in this particular state. I'm going to be going to the Dynamite in just about a month. And you know what I'm starting to realize? That might be a mistake because this company is eroding fast. Sure, their pay-per-views are doing well. They're going to get about 50,000 for Wembley. They have it reconfigured for some reason I don't get. I don't know if they don't think they can get the same amount of people or if there's another event going on before or right after. I don't have a goddamn clue. All I know is Tony Khan basically got his inheritance to have his real-life action figures, and it's ridiculous. Everything that has been talked about from the very beginning, because in the beginning there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said, has been exposed. And I've given AEW a lot of passes. A lot of goddamn passes. I fucking can't anymore. I can't give them passes. I love a lot of the talents there. There were a few on this particular show. There are people with so much potential, young talents that have a fresh coat of paint. And if they had any goddamn leadership and they didn't have EVPs that weren't right-wing crackpot idiots that have never been good wrestlers. The Bucks have never been good wrestlers. That's my opinion. You guys can feel otherwise. But this show was so catastrophically awful with like 3,000 people in a 13,000 seat arena. Even if they only got 5,000 or 6,000 people, that would be better. They can't market. They can't promote. They can, at times, draw big crowds. They, at times, can draw hot crowds. And it's intermittent. Sure, I may compare this to the Fingerpoke of Doom. I lived through the Monday Night Wars. I remember all of that shit. And the Fingerpoke of Doom, sure, Super Brawl 9 did really goddamn well, like 485,000 pay-per-view buys. Take a look at what Uncensored the next month did. By the time we got to Spring Stampede, the last good, if not great, WCW pay-per-view, they were down to like 260, 250,000. And from there, they eroded, and they eroded fast. AEW wants to run more pay-per-views. One, they don't have a streaming service. They are still, they're still like doing their TV rights negotiations. Their ratings are dropping. Sure, ratings are dropping for everything, but WWE is still doing about 2 million people a week, for Raw and SmackDown. And NXT is doing about 650 to 700,000. They're holding steady. And I kill all three of those particular shows when they do something bad. I can't even watch Rampage anymore. I can't even watch Collision that much anymore, even when it's people I like. This is embarrassing. This was fucking embarrassing to watch. And I can't imagine that any AEW defenders are going to be able to watch this and say, oh, you see, it proved what Punk said. One, we didn't hear any audio. Two, I don't blame Punk for finally getting upset if all the stuff he said, if even 80% of the stuff he said was true. If Jack Perry really was that petulant and, listening to the Bucks and all that shit, if everything, with all the sources to be believed, Punk Didn't need to be in that toxic environment. Punk wasn't helping that environment, even though he was drawing some big ratings for them. Collision was nosediving. The split shows were a bad idea. This was a really bad situation. And AEW, unfortunately, has not hit its stride since. They've had some ebbs and flows. I was there for WrestleDream when Copeland debuted. That was cool. It was, in a crowd, or in front of a crowd about 3,000 less than what Dynamite had just literally 9 months prior. The Collision and WrestleDream combined attendance was like maybe 10,500, 11,000. And they had 9,000 to 9,500 for Dynamite alone. They're going to maybe have 3,500 for Everett in a 10,000-seat arena. If Tony Khan isn't going to be a goddamn boss and he isn't going to be a goddamn booker, somebody's got to take this shit over. But they can't because he has all the goddamn money. And if you note I'm not really talking that much about this show, I will talk about a few things. The matches on the show weren't particularly good, but you know what? Let's just fucking get into it because I have nothing else to say. By the way, this review is up hours earlier than usual because I was able to watch this live. Of all the shows that I could watch live, I watched this live. And seeing the discourse and people laughing, people that have defended AEW laughing at this. Swerve attacked Joe during his entrance, going through a table and set up by the barricade. Okay, that's your lot right there. Recaps of Trent's heel turn that nobody really likes because Trent's a fucking idiot. Cassidy will address it on Rampage, a show that nobody watches. Penta took on Copeland. Penta's in all blue. Dabba-dee-dabba-die. It's a TNT title match. The crowd, they were trying. That crowd was trying to make some noise. It was a match that had some good action. An apron bump for no goddamn reason. There was a weird golf course graphic thing when Penta shot Copeland into the corner, and I'm like, what is this going to be the footage? What the hell's going on? Amateurish. And I'm not done talking about how amateurish this show was. Second break. Apron slam for no reason. A spear to Alex, and then later a spear to Penta 1, 2, 3. I don't mind either of these guys. It was an okay match as far as action, but I didn't have a reason to care. And then the lights out, and then Brody attacks Copeland. After Julia distracts. To be fair, Julia would be very distracting. This character has really worked well for her. Willow shows up. She got misted somehow. But the mist didn't affect her last time. Renee is with Hawk, Shibata with his new brain, and Jericho, a man that has absolutely no reason to be on this program, or any wrestling program. There were, unnecessary close-ups. Oh! Like we're in fucking Wayne's World. It wasn't just here. It was every single backstage segment. What the fuck was that? Has Tony Khan just thrown in the towel? Shibata used Google Translate or whatever the fuck that was. Shibata's got to be thinking, well, not only do I have a new brain, but they're letting me wrestle, so at least there's that. Package on FTR and the Bucks. Renee's with Mark Briscoe and Eddie. Congratulations to Mark Briscoe on winning the Ring of Honor World Championship on the 11th anniversary of his brother, the late Jay Briscoe, winning. That's good. That's good. Good moment. I didn't get a chance to watch Supercard of Honor. There was only so much wrestling I could fucking watch, guys. I was tired. But I did manage to see, I was furnished the full match of that, let's just say. So, then Copeland shows up with unnecessary zooms. That's not going to get annoying at all, is it? They're going to keep doing this shit. He calls them, let's see, the Rated Chicken Hawks. Radar Chicken or whatever. Willow then says, hey, how about we team up in a mixed tag against Brody and Julia next week? Okay, that ought to be all right, I guess. And then the Bucks. They talk about the backstage footage. But first, they're so fake. So fake. And talk about Jack Perry, the scapegoat and everything. The fact is Jack Perry's calling himself a scapegoat. Jack Perry should not be in a wrestling company. I'm not saying that people can't make mistakes, and plenty of people have made mistakes, but here's the thing. People like Shawn Michaels and others have made mistakes. They actually were really, really good in the ring. Perry is average. And he hit his ceiling a while ago. So, they talk about, the other person that was so toxic and all this stuff and everything. The other person that drew $1 million pay-per-view gates and drew better ratings than the Bucks ever have. The Bucks have not drawn shit. They can't draw flies of shit. They can't draw anything. They couldn't even draw on a goddamn corpse because the corpse would somehow manage to just say, no, you know what, I'm going to move over here somewhere else. I don't want anything to do with you. And they're little goddamn bitches. That's all they are. They couldn't win a fight against anybody. Anybody. So we see it. And all it cements is Punk was right. Because we can hear the audio. Am I saying that Punk should have attacked Perry? Or should have done that? He had a right to defend himself. Should Perry have been like that? Did Perry actually say anything bad? Were their tempers just so goddamn high that people snapped? Possibly. I don't know. Punk hasn't been in that company for a while. Had they shown this 2 weeks after all the stuff, had they shown this right after All Out and said, we're going to show you what happened, it still would have been petty, but it would have been more timely. It would have shined a light on the fact that Tony Khan had no reason to fear for his goddamn life because he's a little goddamn drugged up, allegedly. He is. Fucking take a look. I've heard him live. I've seen him live at every single one of the shows. He is high as a goddamn kite and he cannot do public speaking. But Punk is getting paid while injured and drawing bigger ratings, having bigger quarter hours than the Bucks ever have. What was the best case scenario if Punk was proven to be wrong? You shine a light on the fact you no longer have this guy and your ratings are lower than ever. It showed basically that he pretty much described just about everything correct. I mean, I'm not saying that certain things weren't conflated or forgotten because Punk hadn't seen the footage. How could he? And all it did was show that people who love Punk are going to love him. People that hate him are going to hate him. And I know I'm probably going to get some hate in the comments, and I don't really fucking care anymore. I want AEW to succeed, but goddammit, shows like this and moves like this. And it's not about taking a shot at WWE. It is about simply reacting to something when you could just put on a better product. Had they been putting on a better product for the last few months, they wouldn't have even needed to worry about this. Their crowds wouldn't be down to almost nobody, the bare minimum. Of people who are like, okay, I'm going to give you another example of Collision and Wrestle Dream. When I'm at Collision, drawing half the crowd, by the way, that Dynamite drew, there were people in my section, multiple people that I walked by, some people that I talked to, that didn't fucking know the pay-per-view was happening the next day. That's the kind of marketing they don't do. FTR come out to cut a rah-rah promo that we need to move on, and they basically are talking themselves into it. And I love FTR. Do not get me wrong. My favorite tag team in all of wrestling. They've been that for the last number of years. Dax made a comment, I'd probably still be shaving his back. They tried. I really hope that match is good, but I just have no faith in the Bucks, putting their egos aside. Their egos that are bigger than any other part of their anatomy. So the package on Ospreay and Danielson. Renee interviews Ospreay. You got 5 minutes. TV time is, expensive. And made comments about Triple H. Louis knew him saying, I couldn't, handle the grind when you were just simply grinding on the boss's daughter. But don't throw rocks at an assassin who has a machine gun. Okay, I'm not saying that Ospreay doesn't have a right to be a little bit upset and Triple H can't be petty. Triple H can be as much of a petty bitch as anybody. I don't care if he's a goddamn boss. But Ospreay may want to keep his words soft and sweet because he may have to eat them because once his contract is up, what if AEW doesn't have a television deal? What if he basically just gets paid to do whatever and Shaq Khan has to pay up to you-know-what, pay the length of these contracts and all this? What if that happens? Then what? Is Ospreay going to go back to New Japan? WWE may take him, but will they give him big money? I'm not saying that there aren't times where people can put business aside, and Ospreay had a right to fire back. But and the thing is that actually was a little more pointed and poignant than anything that the Bucks did, which isn't hard to do, but it also came right after a segment that everybody was talking about for the wrong reasons because it was laugh-inducing. It was like that Bender, flushing Nibbler down the toilet thing. You're serious. Let me laugh even harder. And then talks about Danielson, Julia package, or pre-tape, lights a match. I guess she's lighting the fuse. Dynamite, this character change has worked. And then Shibata with his new brain and Jericho took on Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty, and Anthony Monster Ogogo, who returned on Collision. I'm glad that Anthony Ogogo seems to be doing well. And at one point, Hook got pissed at Jericho for stopping him from tagging in. You need to listen to me. No. Hook needs to choke him out, throw him on his goddamn head. Not that it would affect Jericho, because he's an idiot that donates money to a piece of shit and also has a wife that, by the way, was there on January 6, 2021. Because she's a piece of shit. Lee pinned Shibata. That might have meant something, but it was more about Hook and Jericho. Dustin says the time for talking is over, and then he proceeds to keep talking. Okada then beat a guy, Cristiano Argento Cheese. I'm not even knocking the guy. They flashed the name by so quick. Okada's like, I'm getting paid how much for this? It's nothing against this guy, but he now is a champion. They're doing this. He wins with the Rainmaker, because of course he did. I accept your challenge, Pac. See you at Dynasty. Okada's English actually is a lot better than people give him credit for. And then Pac shows up. And then the Bucks do a run-in. And immediately CM Punk chants start. And they turn the mics down. They turn them down. Here's the thing. That is a crowd of about 3,000, maybe 3,200 people. If there's enough CM Punk chants by the camera mics to pick that up, that's a bad sign. Because there were a lot of people booing Punk. There were a lot of people that watched both. Some people probably wish Punk was part of this show and the Bucks weren't. Because it'd be infinitely better. Would it be drawing the same ratings as WWE? No. But it'd be better. So FTR then run in and Okada hits him with a chair. Then a gangbang scissor gang do a backstage promo. And this crowd is super dead by this point. This crowd was dead before Okada came out. And then Renee is out for Tony's Toast with Thunder Rosa. And they must have rushed this because poor Thunder Rosa. I love Thunder Rosa, but god damn it. I hope her and Tony have a great match. And I'm sure they will. Because they're both accomplished workers. But god damn, Thunder Rosa gets champagne in the face and the face paint wiped off. And there we are. And then Deonna Purrazzo eventually shows up, but there's tension with her and Rosa. And then Mariah May shows up and wait, I have a match. They just slammed the women into the goddamn segment. And then Anna Jay and Mariah May took each other on, and it was what it was. It wasn't even an awful match. Anna Jay has improved. Mariah May has a great look. Both have great looks. The problem is nobody cared. Nobody cared, and that's not even knocking the talents. But Mariah won with a roll-up, and then Anna got the Queen Slayer on. I keep messing that up. And then suddenly, Mina Shirakawa, I think that's how you say it. I've seen like one of her matches in Stardom. And she shows up. Her and Mariah May have history from Stardom. I think they were in the same group. I think. Stardom fans, help me out. But a toast to Tony. She gets the champagne and gets whatever and then kisses her. All right. We're desperate for ratings. Not that I'm complaining. The next step is go all blue is the warmest color and film that. That would have to be on pay-per-view, though. Anybody that has not seen that movie is confused. Anybody that has seen that movie is like, oh, lad, that's a bit much. So, yeah, you're not going to get me to complain about that, even though I'm not really sure if that desperate ploy for ratings will last. Everyone loves kissing Mariah May. Alex Marvez then does a sit-down interview with Mercedes. Why? Why is Marvez still there? Let him write sports. Don't let him conduct interviews. And then camera zooms. And then the lights out. Because they had to cut Mercedes off. Mercedes cannot talk. I am convinced now that this is one of the worst signings they've done. And I like Mercedes. She's talented. But she's not often sounded legit on the mic. At least they can get this stuff right in Hollywood with multiple takes. She better hope that Hollywood money keeps rolling in with more roles, because maybe it's a good thing that WWE didn't bring her back. So anyway, then we get grunts and groans and clapping. It's like, a movie I saw online once by mistake, but the lights are out, and Julia laid out Mercedes, or Sky, or somebody. Maybe Willow did it. Maybe Willow flipped the switch and said, fuck this, boom. Joe and Dustin took on each other in an AEW World Title Eliminator match. Dustin got busted open. Joe, mind you, that had his head busted against the table. All this shit. And Dustin got the shit beat out of him. Eventually hit a crossroads after getting the title, involved, but the referee said no. Joe had the chain, then a distraction, and then the belt shot for 3. Samoa Joe, even with, a head and his bell rung and everything, needed a belt shot to beat a busted open 54-year-old guy. It's not even about heel tactics. That's just fucking stupid. He could have beaten Dustin straight up. Just saying. Would Dustin taking a clean fall have meant anything more or less? No. So he locks on the choke. Swerve comes in with the house call. He gets his chain. And then here's Nana with the title. And Nana's kind of looking at it like, yeah, okay, Swerve's going to be the champion. Why did I get the sense that they're going to have Nana turn on Swerve and fuck this whole thing up? Speaking of fucking this whole thing, terrible show. Terrible. Even with the people I like, this was a terrible show. Tony Khan should be ashamed. He won't be because he has no shame. I'm still going to go to that show that they got in Everett. But after that, I don't know if I'm going to watch another AEW show live. They got to turn shit around, or they are going to end up out of business in a couple years. Or when Shad Khan says, that's enough, we're not doing this anymore. Agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.